Hey world, this is Justin, and you are tuned to Anywhere the Needle Drops. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are we all doing today? It is summertime. Summer is in full swing here in Michiana. Lots of beach days, lots of sweaty, humid days, though right now we're having a nice bit of cool nights and chill days, and that's been nice. Loving the weather, loving the summertime. Lots of great summer fests going on here in the area. We've had Rebel Arts Fest recently, and just, you know, lots of great summer things happening. This is always the time of year in Michiana when the local art and music scene really just kicks off and there's almost too much to do. It's great. It's fantastic. I love it. All right. Well, today we get to hang out with Amelia Day. Amelia Day hung out with me virtually, coming to me from Nashville. In fact, she hung out with me just earlier today, the day that I'm recording this. Not to give you too much behind the scenes, but typically we record these things a little bit in advance, but it just happened to be one of those weeks where, you know, Amelia and I scheduled this thing, and then we're going to turn this thing around and bring it out to you here. You'll be hearing this on Thursday. So this is fresh off the presses for you here, Amelia Day. And speaking of fresh, Amelia just released her new EP called Ego Trip. That was released this past Friday, June 12th, and you can find that wherever you get your music. So check out the links in the show notes. It's a great EP. You're going to get to hear one of the songs off of it. In fact, the title track here in just a moment once I get done yapping at you. But yeah, Amelia's great. The music is great. Just a cool, chill individual, and just also shows the small world of music that we work in, because we ended up discovering we know some of the same people, and you know, it's just it's always lovely to make those connections. So I had a great time chatting with Amelia. I know you're going to dig this episode, and you're going to dig Ego Trip. Check it out. It's a great set of music. So here we go. Coming up, you're going to get Ego Trip, the title track off the EP. Afterward, my chat with Amelia. Thank you for your time. Here's the light.
I know you like it when they scream your name, baby, like you're one of them big pop stars. Yeah, you are. Sequins in the setting you're selling now. Manhattan, knock 'em back till you're seeing stars. I know you like the back of your hand, stabbing me between my shoulder blades. So it aches, I'm parsing your pathology, amateur psychology, a dizzy dissertation inside my brain. But I knew you then for all of this, but you left me for your ego trip. 'Cause you got no repercussions, take another chance, no consequences if you're making them dance. Ooh, you don't need to be a girl on this level if you're trying to hit this shit. Write another. I know you were lying, playing you got no repercussions. Take another chance, no consequences if you're making on plans. Ooh, you don't need to be a kind, honest lover if you turn it out hits, then shit.
Amelia Day, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Just got in from we drove back from North Carolina yesterday, and so just got back to Nashville.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah. So we are sitting here just a few days, after the release of the EP. So I imagine you were out doing some touring to promote that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So let's talk about Ego Trip then. So we've been listening to it here at the house, since this weekend when it came out. Or actually, a little before we got the sneak preview. So good stuff. So tell me about this EP. How long has this been in the works?
Oh man, it's been, oh gosh, I think since I started writing it, it's been like I think about 2 years. From like the inception of like the first song that I was working on. But as far as like the recording process, recording, mixing, mastering, like that's probably about like a little over a year. Yeah, so it's been a minute in the making. So I'm very excited to finally be able to share it,
Yeah. So, what is it that, like, how do you know when it's time for that next release, the EP or the album, or even just the single? How do you know it's like, okay, I got to get this thing out there in front of everybody?
Oh man, I think more than anything, just like when I've been writing a lot and notice some songs like gravitating towards similar themes or uh, just kind of fitting together and like sharing one kind of story or one kind of like sonic tie together. Like if I see that kind of gather together, I start kind of ideating like a way to make that into a larger project rather than just like this, one-off singles. And then there's some songs where it's like, this is so different from a lot of other stuff that I'm writing, but I really like it still, but it doesn't really fit together with anything. And so that'll be when I'm like, okay, there's kind of this like gap in like, future release plans and stuff. Like maybe I try to aim to just have like a one-off single kind of come out like sometime in the fall or, so it'll kind of, yeah, there's not really a huge system to it, but it all just kind of gathers as the writing process continues, I guess.
Yeah, I love it when a release like an album or an EP has sort of a unifying theme. It doesn't have to be a full-on concept album, but just something that kind of ties it together. I mean, we live in this world where the single is so important, and for a lot of reasons. But I am an album fan. I grew up, digging through my parents' vinyl, and I mean, there's something to be said about just having sort of an exploration of theme throughout the course of multiple songs.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of albums, especially in like the pop world, are often now more like a collection of singles, but might not necessarily have as much of like a tie-in between the songs. It just feels kind of like, okay, here are the most like catchy ones that we wrote or something. And like obviously, you want to have some that are kind of standalone, like a single that can kind of do that, but like, yeah, I love just when I just listen to music on my own, I'm always like just putting on a full album, listening through the entire thing, like kind of seeing where that artist was at during that specific period of time, emotionally, sonically, the whole thing. So yeah, I'm very much the same. I love listening through full albums.
Yeah, I have this thing I do called deep dives, where I'll pick an artist, and it might be someone of a legendary status like Madonna or someone or REM, or it might be someone just I'm interested in. But I will pick one sort of at a time and go back into the beginnings of their catalog and like listen to everything just straight on through to kind of hear that story of their evolution from where they were to where they are today. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I was doing that with Fleetwood Mac like a few months back, and it was really interesting because I had just never listened to their first album.
Yeah.
Like, which is, I mean, if I'm like even before like Stevie's like the band has evolved obviously so much over the years.
Yeah.
Like gaining members, losing members and stuff. So it was really interesting to kind of hear that evolution.
And then are you doing any of the like as that band evolves, are you doing any of the offshoots where like these guys were doing this thing over here, you know, and that
Yes.
kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah, then I was like, oh, okay, like let me listen to like some of Stevie's like solo stuff, like after she let like
Yeah.
it's always very interesting. Obviously, I feel like the Beatles have like the biggest examples of that where like every single member is like super prolific individually after, I mean, the band as a whole obviously put out a ridiculous amount of music for, I mean, they were only like together like maybe 8 years or something like that, like, which is just crazy to kind of wrap your head around. But yeah, no, I love just kind of following those little trails and kind of seeing what, you can kind of trace like what influence like each individual had on like the full sound of like the band. It's like, oh, okay, so that's where like some of the more like whimsical elements came more from like Paul, I guess, doing his thing,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Yeah, it's especially interesting when you have a band like that and you can see those different elements. But just that evolution in general is always interesting to see. I have a friend who's a huge Beyonce fan, to the point where like we've literally sat through Beyonce PowerPoints that she created, and so
incredible.
Yeah. And so like I'm in the midst of doing the Beyonce deep dive right now, but of course I had to go all the way back to Destiny's Child and like do that first, and then there's even branches to follow from there in the in addition to the straight Beyonce thing. So it's so much fun. I just love to see how it all evolves and connects and all that. So
yeah, I need to do a Beyonce deep dive now. I'm like, shoot,
do it. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Shout out my friend Liz for encouraging the Beyonce deep dive. So all the way to Nashville influencing. So yeah.
Yes, exactly.
All right, cool. So you've not been on the show before, so we've got to do a little bit of the origin story. So let's go back a ways a bit. You're in Nashville now, but you came from was it out west, Pacific Northwest? I think I understand.
Yeah. I'm from Washington State originally.
Okay. All right, cool. So when was it in your life that you picked up an instrument and were like, music, that's a thing I want to do?
Let's see, both of my parents like took piano lessons when they were kids and stuff. So we had like this old upright in my family home that was like my mom's, like when she was living with my grandparents, that they just like moved to to every single place that they lived. And so they would like occasionally sit down and just like play like one of the songs they had like learned in high school, like had like the sheet music and everything. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And so apparently I thought it was when I was 4. They say when I was 5. They're probably more correct because they would remember that better.
Yeah.
But I asked them because I would like go up there and just like kind of plunk around on stuff, but like obviously I had no idea what I was doing. But I asked them, I was like, could I take piano lessons? And they said yes. And so I started into piano lessons. And then like pretty much like in the first year, I was like, oh, this sucks. You have to actually like practice this thing. Yeah. So I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And they were like, no, like you like stick with it. And so I ended up taking lessons like in like very, very much like classical kind of stuff. But my teacher like let me experiment with a lot of different styles and like writing little compositions and stuff. And so yeah, I took lessons like all the way through high school. Picked up guitar like in middle school, and then that's kind of become more what my main instrument is for writing and for performing. And but yeah, it all started with playing piano.
That's awesome. At what point did you begin to incorporate your own songwriting?
Probably, gosh, I think the first song that I ever wrote, it's a bit of a funny story where like I grew up in the church and like there's this thing called Vacation Bible School. I don't know if you're familiar with.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah. So like we went obviously like every summer. I eventually like volunteered there and everything. But in like 4th grade, I had just like gotten home from vacation Bible school and stuff. And I remember like being in the audience, like, or just, just with all the kids during the music part. And I was like, this song is so like, it's so basic and like bad. I was like, I could totally write something like this. And so I wrote like a song about like forgiveness in like fourth grade. But that like I wish I could say like I was just like Mother Teresa, like, yes, this is just on my heart. Like I need it truly was just out of like, well, okay, here's like a theme. Like here's like a theme like that they'd like want us to talk about, and like, okay, let's see if I can like write this forgiveness song. And so yeah, that was the first song that I ever wrote.
I love that
but
idea of it being like a moment of like, oh, is that all I could do that, because like
yeah.
I'm in addition to this, I write movies, and one of
Oh,
my
sick.
motivators is when I'm feeling down on myself is I'll sit down and watch a TV show or a movie sometimes, and I'll be like, oh, like if this got made, I can write something that could get made,
Yes.
like
Yes. No,
sometimes
it does. It really does help. It really does help.
yeah,
It's like truly like just taking the swings,
yeah.
like there are a lot of people who are taking swings that maybe maybe they're missing a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was truly like the first song that I wrote. And I like my piano teacher was awesome in that like she really recognized like I didn't really enjoy like the doing all of the little technical exercises and stuff and like the classical side. Like she knew I liked just like messing around on the piano and just like seeing what sounded cool. So she would give me like composition assignments. And like so that I started doing that like in fifth grade, and then that kind of evolved into like actual like my own kind of songwriting in middle school. I don't know if I ever finished a song until like eighth grade, maybe, but I had like it's kind of like a similar system to what I have now, which is like kind of a mess. But like I would just like take little voice memos of like little ideas that I had. And so they're like tons of songs that like I still remember like how they go, like half finished. Like I never actually finished writing them, but it was like, oh yeah, this like in seventh grade was like an idea I really liked, and like I've still got like some of those voice memos. I think somewhere. I hope. I think like deep in my laptop somewhere. but but yeah, yeah.
Are there any songs that you've produced at this point of your career that originated in those like middle school, high school days?
Yes, actually. There are just a couple. But my very first release, I wrote, I think it was senior year of high school. It's either junior or senior year, but I think senior year. And that was a song called Valentine's Day Blues, which I wrote like there was like I was very involved in the theater department in high school, as you know. Oh yeah. Anytime I say that to people, they're like, yeah, no, for sure.
Yep.
um, but yeah, there was like an open mic kind of thing where like people were, playing covers and stuff. It was like a fundraiser thing on Valentine's Day. And so I wrote it like for that open mic. And it was based around like actual situation that I was in. And so I just like really continued liking that one. And so I like produced it out. Like, and I didn't know what I was doing at all at that point. Like I produced and mixed and mastered it. Should not have been like, but you've got it. You've got to like
That's how you get
just start
started,
putting something out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
You're not going to start like at this like super professional studio and like know everything about like audio engineering and everything. But yeah, so that was the first song that I put out like my freshman year of college. And then there was a song that I wrote sophomore year of high school called Gatsby that was actually for an English assignment.
Yeah.
They were like, you can either like write an essay or like write a poem or like write a song. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to write an essay. Like I would much rather do this. And so, was reading The Great Gatsby, and wrote a song around it, and then I actually, I still kind of like it. I still kind of like it. It's definitely very different from like what I'm making now, but I'm still like I still stand by it, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But that was that was on my first EP.
That's so
Kind
funny.
of like a little callback.
Yeah, well, so I when I was asking you the question about the songs from those early days when you're a kid writing stuff, surviving.
Yeah.
In my head, I was thinking about we have this local artist Priscilla Sab, who the first time I saw her perform live, she played this absolutely stunning song. And then when she got done with the song, she's like, "Yeah, I wrote that when I was 15 or something." And I'm like, "What?" you know.
Yeah.
And then the Gatsby thing is funny because she's currently putting out a series of singles that are all literary based. And
Oh
I
my
think
gosh.
Gatsby is one of the first. She had a Gatsby song that was one of her first ones that she did. And so
I am gonna look her up. I was an English major, so
yeah.
like that is so up my alley.
I will send you her info because I mean based on listening to your stuff, I think you might dig her stuff as well. But yeah, it's good stuff, and I love the Gatsby thing. That's great.
Yeah. It's a lot to draw from there. Lots to draw from.
For sure, for sure. So okay, so when you are writing songs, is it strictly from like an autobiographical base? Are you doing is it storytelling? Is it a little bit of both? Like how do you what are the themes of what you're choosing to write about?
I would say at this point mostly autobiographical. Yeah. I think earlier I definitely will like kind of step into the storytelling space on occasion, like in kind of inhabiting like a different character. But more so now when I do that, it is kind of like I am that character, even if I'm like in a different world, or it's like it's focusing on, a specific theme of something that like I've gone through recently. So I'm still kind of channeling that personally. So there's that side of things. But when I would say a large portion of songs that I am both, especially writing right now, but like definitely in the past as well, I kind of like I'm just thinking about a lot of stuff, a lot of like, just like, I don't want to be very like philosophical kind of stuff, or like I've just been thinking about death a lot lately, and like I don't know, I think about like climate change and stuff. There's a lot of things that are really important to me, so I'll kind of like figure out ways to express those ruminations in music. And I feel like that is more so for like upcoming, very hypothetical upcoming things. Kind of the space that I'm in is kind of a split between the two of those. Kind of going into like more of the larger like universal kind of themes, but then like also tying that into like the more narrow like personal application of that kind of stuff. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, you always it seems like we always come out in our art no matter what it is. I mean, I'm thinking of I wrote a post-apocalyptic horror film, so like kind of the farthest thing from my day-to-day life, but yet in reading it back with people during the notes process, having the realization that several of the things that people were struggling with, the characters were struggling with, were like it was like someone like pointed to a character and they're like, "That's you, isn't it?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, oh, it is me, so it finds its way out no matter what you're doing. So
it's funny the stuff that, because like we like to think we're conscious of all the things that we're putting into our art, but yeah, there have been a handful of things that in kind of retrospect, like looking back on the song, I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I was like pulling from this, or like I didn't even know like that I was really like imbuing myself into this. I thought this was just like a storytelling song outside of myself entirely. It's like, no, that is very much tied to this situation directly. Yeah, there's a lot of that, which is funny. Like we don't even know.
Yeah. It just kind of, it sneaks up. Do you find is there like any kind of almost like a therapeutic or cathartic value to that? Like, does writing it like help you process those things even maybe without realizing it?
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. I find, especially when I feel like I can't like express something in words necessarily, or I'm not able to like talk to this subject of the song, or like there's kind of when you feel like a little helpless in a situation. Like there's a lot of songs that I've been working on right now that are, you know, have some political themes as well. I find it really helpful to feel like I can put that out somehow and like emotionally connect with people somehow through writing. Yeah, it is very cathartic, and it does help me like kind of process those emotions, have somewhere for them to go,
Yeah.
and create something out of them instead of just like holding them in or kind of ruminating on the same thing over and over and over again. It's kind of helps to purge it a little bit, I feel.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things. It's like for those of us who go to therapy, which everyone should go to therapy. Just my piece,
Mm-hmm.
just putting that out
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
But like that's one of the first things that you like learn is like, oh, just speaking a thing aloud, right? That's a big part of like healing and learning. It's just getting it out there and even recognizing it. So yeah.
totally. Yeah, if you're keeping everything in your head, it's just it's harder to organize it, make sense of it. Like actually being able to speak something out loud and make it concrete in some way, like allows you to kind of look at it more objectively, as much as you can.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, okay, that seems like a good segue back to Ego Trip. So what? That's a fairly autobiographical
Oh
release as
yeah.
well. Okay, so what are we
Yeah,
exploring?
that one's
In
like entirely, yeah,
yeah,
more so
okay.
than probably any other project that I put out. Yeah.
Tell me more. Tell me more. What are we getting into there?
Oh man, I went through like a pretty difficult breakup, like a couple years back, and it wasn't so much I guess a year and a half or so, maybe a little over that. And the difficulty wasn't as much in that like I thought this was like my person that I was going to be with forever. But I really trusted this person and like thought I knew who this person was. And there was infidelity on their end that I only found out about like months after the breakup too. And so it was just like this confusion of having been with this person for a couple of years and had this idea of somebody who I thought I knew very intimately, and having that all just kind of blow up. And it really, yeah, it really, I definitely feel like I lead into like relationships and friendships, whatever it is, just with like kind of a complete trust, even if it's not earned necessarily. And just like everyone has the best intentions. And that's not always the case, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of grappling with that, where yeah, it definitely has changed like just how I view the world, and not in a like I hope to not be super jaded and be like, well, everyone's out to get me. Like I think I still innately just like really do just trust everybody off the bat and have to kind of like still kind of check myself and be like, okay, let's be a little more cautious. Let's like look out for certain signs and things. And so that's definitely a big part of it. But it's also very much tied to just my experience getting deeper into the music industry. Both because like the person that I was with was also an artist, and had a very different perspective on like what artistry is to them and what their priorities were. And then also just like, yeah, just getting, I kind of use them as a bit of a like metaphor, both in just like directly like the experiences I had with them, but also then as kind of a metaphor for that side of the industry that I'm seeing more and more the deeper I get in, where people are sometimes just truly in it for the money and want to manipulate the artists into just kind of serving whatever their ideals are. Like I find it really interesting. Like, I mean, anytime you intertwine art, anything like spiritual and money together, like just shit gets messy.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah.
Yeah. And so on the industry side of things, you've got a lot of well-meaning people, but you've also got a lot of people who are in it truly because they want to capitalize off of it. And I do feel like, yeah, you have a similar thing with artists as well. And I think a lot of artists are really susceptible to being manipulated as well, because it's just, if you're focused on the art side of things, like you might not see the different way someone else might view the industry. And so that's where you get like so many of the horror stories of like these really freaking talented young artists usually signing into some like crazy label contract for like tying them down for like 5 years, 10 years. And then the label like kind of bars them from like putting out their stuff, or is like super controlling over their image. Or I mean, there's just like a preponderance of so many situations where that's happened, unfortunately. And so yeah, just the more success that I found in music, it's like, oh, I'm starting to like meet some of these people, these kinds of people that I'm like, oh, yeah, it's not, you know, when you're first starting out, it's like everybody's just like in the indie space, just like trying to make it work, in it for the love of the art. There's not really any money or fame or whatever at play. But yeah, it's definitely, it's interesting to observe. And definitely it's also kind of like the EP is almost like a little warning to myself as well, to like, don't, yeah, always stick with just making the art that you care about. Like, even if there's some really shiny opportunity that would like compromise things, like this industry is tough enough. When you are making something that you're really passionate about, like that makes it worth all the sacrifices. It's like, you know, if you're making something you don't care about that much, then it's like, why are you even in it?
Yeah.
Other than just money, I guess. And that's not.
And there are easier ways to make money if that's what you're looking for.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the ego trip kind of plays on both my direct relationship with this partner, but also just like a larger kind of contemplation on just like the music industry and just how icky some parts of it are.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're holding on to that sense of wonder and joy, I guess, be a way to describe it, because it is, you know, because it can be easy to get jaded also. And then if you lead with that, it kind of, you know, takes, like, you've got to protect yourself. But I think it's important to hold on to that, in spite of the fact that there might be some bad actors out there, ways you can get hurt, protect yourself, but also like continue. I'm in this moment in my life, and a lot of people I'm talking to seem to be as well, where everyone's kind of seeking out this sense of wonder and magic and play as adults that we've lost since our childhood. And I think it's so important to keep that alive, you know?
Absolutely.
Especially in art. Yeah.
No, I got myself very lucky that like when I was going through that kind of healing process, I was like worried about like how that would kind of affect my innate, just like, you know, way that I led into conversations with people, like how, you know, would this make me a lot more jaded? And I am, it's both in parts like a conscious thing to like keep myself from getting that way, but also I just think like that just truly is like, even having gone through that kind of stuff, like that just is very much like how I'm built. And I am very grateful for that, because I don't want to be immediately suspicious of everybody. Like there's definitely a healthy balance to like truly, like I think it is good to assume the best intentions in people, but also be aware, not you know, put yourself on the line in doing so until you have proof of like, is this person a kind person, and like really looking out for those warning signs. But I do think most people do have the best intentions, even if it gets muddled. And some people don't. But it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. It's more of a mixed bag than I think initially thought. But kind of a great thing that I didn't really have to deeply come to terms with that until this point. A little more jarring in that way, but I'm like, gosh, like grateful to my parents for not kind of ruining that early, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, how much time did you spend before going to Nashville in like the Washington music scene? What was that
Oh
like?
man. Yeah, it's kind of been an interesting thing where I went to college in Nashville. And so I was like, but I was heading back to Washington like every winter break, every summer. And so I was still spending like a few months a year in Washington. And I honestly, like in high school, I was writing and I was like involved in like, you know, music extracurricular kind of stuff like at my school and individually, but I didn't like perform out any of my stuff. I didn't like do any really like open mics and stuff beyond like what was at my school. And so truly like college, getting to college, like that was when I started like exploring the Washington scene. And so it was just like in these chunks of summers between semesters. And it's just super like, yeah, it is very different than Nashville. Obviously there's less of a saturation of artists, especially in like the singer-songwriter kind of sphere. Like there still are quite a few, but it is more niche. And I do feel like the main kind of scene is more in kind of like I mean, similar to just what Seattle's associated with, kind of the evolution of the grunge movement of like the 90s. Like it's more of like a kind of alternative punk, like what's the name of it? Like Riot Girl music,
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff. Like the way that that's evolved, like that's very much I think the core of like what Seattle sound is today. And there's a really good hip hop scene as well. And then alternatively, like there is a pretty solid like folk scene. I think anywhere where you're like near the mountains and like in some kind of really beautiful like natural area where like people love like hiking and camping, so like folk is gonna thrive in some way. um but I think less so than like the punk kind of sound, especially when you're like in Seattle proper. But yeah, I really do love like it's harder I feel like to get plugged in to the Seattle scene maybe than the Nashville scene, but also that might be like tied to I've just have spent more time in the Nashville scene than the Seattle scene. But it does feel like you gotta be really proactive about it. Whereas I feel like Nashville is maybe more inherently like welcoming and stuff because everyone's kind of in the trenches with it. Whereas like Seattle, like there just are less artists, so you have kind of everybody has like their little pockets of community that are like a little more established, if that makes sense. Like there's
Yeah.
not as much like in and out. Whereas people are, moving in and out of Nashville like all the time from everywhere. And so you're just meeting people all the time. Yeah. And I've honestly, what's funny, I found are you familiar with Spokane, Washington?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I have found like the Spokane music scene is like actually pretty, I mean, it's small, but it's pretty incredible. Like there's some fantastic artists up there. I think in part because like Alan Stone, if you know his stuff, like he's based up there. So he's kind of like, I don't want to say it's like entirely because of him, but I do think he's been a big influence in kind of fostering that scene and offering some like opportunities to instrumentalists and stuff. And just it just feels very like welcoming and familial up there. Like I feel in some ways like even more connected to the Spokane scene, even though like I've never lived near Spokane. Like, but they're just traveling around. They're just traveling around the state a lot. And so yeah, I just kind of got plugged in pretty randomly and like just some of the coolest people.
Yeah, those little pocket communities are interesting, and even like the Nashville thing you were saying, you're all kind of doing it in the trenches, and you would, it is almost smaller than you realize. I remember we were in Nashville last year for the Josie Music Awards, and went to a random coffee shop down from where we were staying, and chatting with the barista, and as is likely in Nashville, she was a musician.
Yeah.
But then it's funny because when you and I connected, and you know, I was on the Instagram and it shows like mutuals and whatnot. Sure enough, she follows you, you know, on
Wait, that's
Instagram. Yeah, so
awesome.
it's just like this like little, and we had gosh, I'm trying to think of the name. We had an artist on, Kid Romantic, a while back, you know, like also from this scene. And the same kind of thing happened where it was like, oh, they knew this person who knew this person. I mean, it's really a small world. It actually is. So
Nashville, yeah, definitely. I've talked about this with my friends a lot. Like, it kind of does feel like a small town a little bit. Like, obviously, it's, you know, it's a city. But when you compare it to like LA or New York, where like it truly is just like this vast like group of people, like Nashville is a lot smaller. And especially within like certain genres, or like for me, like within the queer community and stuff, like there is a smaller group of people. And so it really does feel like for folk artists in Nashville and stuff, I feel like I'm like, if I don't know them personally, like I'm like 1 degree of separation
yeah.
from like pretty much everybody in Nashville. Like I know someone who knows blank artist who's doing a similar kind of sound. Yeah, it is kind of crazy. It is kind of crazy. Like yeah, and that's something that I love about it, because I'm like from a small town originally, like an hour south of Seattle. And so I'm not a city person really. Like I love that there's all these things that I can do very, very close by. But I mean, where I'm at right now, like the place that I'm living is like kind of tucked into a little bit of a wooded area. And that's like so much more my vibe. I'm like,
Yeah.
I love interacting with people a lot, but I do like having my little like space from from things where I can kind of be on my own and think and write. And yeah, so it is nice in that way. It's very sprawling.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so back in, you know, Washington, growing up, were you listening to like what were you hearing in the house, or what were you playing yourself? Was it, you know, the grunge and the punk and the Riot Girl? Was it the folk? Was it a mixture of all that? Like, what were you listening to, or what was your family listening to that influenced you?
Yeah, I only started listening to like grunge stuff a lot later on into college, and so that's kind of been a new like to me new like kind of thing that's definitely been exciting and like influenced my sound in like kind of discovery way rather than like a deeper rooted kind of sense. But yeah, growing up, like listened to a ton of like classic folk and classic rock. Like that was like the main kind of stuff. Trying to think of like, I mean, Simon and Garfunkel, Peter, Paul and Mary, Creedence Clearwater Revival, like Crosby, Stills and Nash, Beatles, Queen, Elton John, Billy Joel, like that was very much kind of the sphere that we were listening to. Some blues stuff too, like BB King. My dad loved BB King.
Yeah.
Then my dad is like a huge U2 fan, and so like obviously that's not, you know, grunge necessarily, but there's a little bit of the 90s sound find its way in there. But for the, you know, they listen to like some of that stuff, like Depeche Mode, REM, Bare Naked Ladies, like that kind of side of the 90s sound found its way in a little bit. Jewel, but less so like the grungy stuff, like
Yeah.
the really alternative stuff. And so yeah, mostly, I mean, truly the core of everything was like my family like loves classic folk music. Like they both my mom and my dad like grew up on that stuff, and that was always like what we'd be listening to on road trips and everything. And so that was like very much the core of my just musical influences and just where I started writing. And so I do feel like most of my stuff, even as I depart from that sound quite a bit, like everything is, or most everything is kind of rooted in like a folk storytelling kind of sensibility. Because that's what I grew up on, and I'm really drawn to that. Like as like just I always saw myself as like a writer before composing anything. Like I wrote like short stories and poems and stuff like in elementary school, and like so that's kind of like the core of things for me. I feel like is what the story is that I'm trying to tell. Yeah.
Awesome. And how do your parents or your family feel about you setting up shop in Nashville and pursuing the music thing? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, they're very supportive and like really psyched about it. And my dad's like one of the most like practical people you'll be, like very logical, like everything's, gotta make sense. And honestly, like one of the biggest like compliments that, I mean, I think one of the most meaningful compliments that I've gotten from him was like maybe a few years back, or like before I was really making like a good bit before I was making like full-time income and stuff. Him kind of saying like, because like we had like, we'd have people be like, oh, she's pursuing music, like, oh, that's like, oh
Yeah.
God, understandably. And him kind of being like yes, but she's gonna make it work, like, and not necessarily like, she's gonna be like this huge artist or anything, but like she's making the right decisions. She's being very thoughtful about like the financial aspect of things too, being really responsible with that, making like good strategic decisions. Like she's gonna make it work, and I'm not worried about it. Which like for for him is like he doesn't say something doesn't mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
so for him to not be worried about like any of the practical like logistics, like financial safety aspect of things, to be like she'll make it happen, like is like huge,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he means that, if there were any kind of like doubt or worry, like he would have said, um so I was like, oh sweet. Because like I know he believes in me and believes in my art, but like on the practical side, like financially, can you make this work soon? Like is it gonna be dangerous, um but yeah, they've been very very supportive with things. It's definitely like tough being in Nashville, being that far away from home. And they're both very like supportive of that, but it is tough sometimes. Like we're all pretty close. But it is nice that if I'm not, directly playing a show somewhere where I have to be exactly in that location, which is a lot of the time, which is probably half of the time, I can kind of be wherever and do like all the other sides of things, writing, recording, like socials, emails, like everything else is like pretty unbound by location. And so I'm able to like visit home a lot more than almost any other kind of job. Like I have the flexibility. It's kind of like a remote job in that way.
Yeah.
the other half of the time. And so I think that's really lovely. I think that would be, if it weren't that way, I think that would be a lot harder for all of us, because yeah, we're all tight. It would be, I want to see them a good bit. So yeah, I'm able to be home a decent amount.
That's awesome. Well, and speaking of traveling, the EP is out. So are
Yeah.
we doing some touring this summer or later on to promote this? What's the live schedule look like?
Yeah. I am doing kind of a lot of weekender kind of stuff. Like honestly, most weekends throughout the summer, I've got some kind of festival or like a handful of gigs just in a row. We did like a whole like almost a month and a half straight run in the spring. That was kind of like preempting, leading up to the EP release. But yeah, we're basically, and I say we, me and my main backing band, kind of on the road through a lot of the summer, but more in like these short spurts kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It'll be like, at most it's kind of like 5 or 6 gigs in a row, and then we're back. So it kind of feels like my schedule right now. It's like, okay, I'm gone for like 4 days, back for 3 days, gone for another 4 days, back for the, just very, very back and forth kind of stuff. So it is, yeah, a lot of shows for sure. But it is nice to have like, as much as it is kind of like a little, feels a little unbound to be like just kind of a whiplash back and forth all the time. It's nice to have like those little bits of like, okay, few days stability, get, life together a little bit, and then okay, we're back on the road again,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and then through July and August is a little more chill, and so I'm hoping to really dive deeper into writing. Then like I've got a lot of just being on the road a ton, like I'll have a lot of like concept ideas or like little poem fragments or stanzas or whatever. But it's like when you're traveling so much, it's really difficult to find the time and energy to really sit down and like create something fuller out of those ideas. So I've got like a lot of little ideas I'm really excited about, a lot of half songs I'm really psyched about, but not a ton that's like, okay, this is something I can like take into the studio. And so I'm hoping like as things like slow down a little over the next couple months coming up, I'll be able to write more, which I'm psyched about.
Nice. Yeah. Do you foresee, again, like literally the EP just came out, so no pressure, but do you foresee like, is the next thing going to be another EP? Are we looking at a full album? Do you have any idea what the future might bring in as far as like releases go?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that. Yeah, I think there's definitely be a good bit of space after the EP, like potentially maybe like a single drop or some like live release kind of stuff, kind of in the interim time. But yeah, I am working on my first like full length album. And when I say working on, it's like in the very beginning stages. But that is definitely the next step. I feel like I was talking with my manager about this, and this is already in my head, but he like brought it up and was like, I'm thinking like I think it might be time to kind of jump into like a full length and put together like a debut. I was like, I was actually thinking the exact same thing. And so yeah, it's a bit daunting. I'm trying to, sometimes I'll get like, I'm like, oh, I couldn't, like, there's so much to do. And I don't know, there's a lot of weight behind like the idea of like your debut album, I feel like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do feel like I'm at a time both with where my audience is at, and just where I'm at as a producer, a songwriter, a musician, where I'm like, yeah, I feel ready to kind of make that kind of statement of like, okay, this is a representation of like me as an artist, at a point where like I feel quite developed as an artist, and things are gonna evolve so much from there. I'm sure I'll look back on things and be like, oh, I would have done blank 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 a million times differently, or styles change so much over the years. But yeah, that's kind of the next step, which I'm both excited and nervous about.
Yeah,
a lot of work between now and then.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I have no
for
idea
sure.
when it would actually come out. But that is what I'm working on.
Well, and you deserve to bask in the glory of this moment right now with the EP too, So it's we don't need to look too far ahead, but keep us definitely in the loop as far as the album goes. And I was just looking at the tour dates, and I don't think you're coming to our neck of the woods anytime soon. But as you get up this way, definitely keep us in the loop.
Where are you based? I meant to say this before the thing because I couldn't find it. Yeah.
We're in I'm in a town called Niles, Michigan, but you're probably most familiar with South Bend, Indiana, if you've ever heard of that.
Yeah.
So we're essentially, even though we're on different sides of the borders, we're essentially sister cities. I mean, drive a few minutes, you're in South Bend, and a lot of the local music scene, is based more in that South Bend area. But yeah, it's a great spot up here too. We have a really killer music scene in this area. It's shocking just how good the music scene is up here in this corner. Michiana, we call it. Some people hate that term, but I think it's what it is. It's Michiana. So
But yeah, you're all right on the border there. So it's kind of a mix between the two.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, cool. Congrats on the EP. It's great. Again, we've been playing it here around the house, and looking forward to what comes next. Definitely keep us in the loop, and hopefully we can catch you out there live one of these days. So
I would love that. Yeah, I've really enjoyed chatting with you, man. Like, this is a great way to. I'm such a late riser that like this is kind of the beginning. I've been up for like a little bit, but this is kind of the beginning of my day. Great way to start the day. It's awesome.
That's fair. You know what? Listen, I don't want to go and reinforce a lot of stereotypes about musicians, but some of them, they have
it's
a
pretty
basis.
spot on.
So yeah.
So I feel I'm like literally in any other career, like I would be struggling in the morning. It's like, no, actually, like it's kind of better to be a late night person. Like like schedule wise, like I function better, and I kind of need to, because I kind of need to be up until like 1 a.m. a lot of nights.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, this kind of rocks.
Yeah, you've chosen the correct career path for sure.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, truly,
sure.
truly, it works out great.
Yeah. All right. Well, Amelia, the EP is Ego Trip, Amelia Day. Everyone check out the links in the show notes. It's out there on streaming and all the places. And yeah, check out the tour dates too, in case Amelia is coming to your town. So it's been fun chatting with you. Thank you.
Yeah, you too, man. This has been awesome.
Yeah. You've been listening to Anywhere the Needle Drops from Red Chuck Productions. Keep up on new episodes of this show, our live events and various creations and other happenings over at redchuckproductions.com or by following us on social media at Red Chuck Productions. Special thanks to Hero Jr. for our theme music. You can check them out over at herojuniormusic.com. That is Hero, Hero, Junior, JR, music.com. A big shout out to Paul Clemson and Theory One Productions for handling sound duties and so much more. Check out their magic over at theory1productions.com. And a big thank you to Earthworks Audio for outfitting the Red Chuck studio. See their microphones and their other products over at earthworksaudio.com. Be sure to support all of our guests by visiting their websites, social media, clicking that subscribe button, seeing them live, and checking out their merch stores. Give musicians and artists your money. We'll be back with the next episode. Until then, thank you for your time. Here's to life.